Hey crafty people, it's Tasha here. Welcome back to my channel. So I was gifted the 2024 Spellbinders Advent Calendar from the amazing Amanda of Pear Blossom Press, and I am finally getting round to editing my videos so that I can start showing you all of the contents. You get so much in this, including layering dies, stamps, little embossing folders and some sequins. Oh, and stencils too. So each door has a drawing of what you can make with that day's contents. Obviously, it's not available anymore, but I wanted to show you how much you get in this because I think it is awesome. I'm going to make a card today with some of the goodies from the calendar. I've already done my die cutting off screen. So I've got some mini little panels that were from one day, and then I've got the pieces for this adorable little French Bulldog from another day. Mostly I cut everything from white cardstock, but I added a little bit of red glitter paper thrown in for a pop of bright colour. Having that little drawing of the finished piece on the inside of the door makes it loads easier to piece together where each bit goes. I love making these kinds of layered images, starting with white card and adding my own colour and shading as I go. I've got my Copic markers today, and I have to point out this fabulous spinning storage I have them in because I love it. So let's colour him in. I'm starting with his head and adding the lightest colour that I've chosen over the whole die cut. This is going to help saturate the cardstock and hopefully give us a better blend when we start adding the darker shades. Now, I'm not going for super realistic at all. I'm just looking for more of a cartoon look, and I'm also going for speed and ease if I'm totally honest. Now, I do want to give our Frenchie a sort of rounded look, so I'm adding darker shades on the outer edges, blending and stretching that colour towards the centre. As I'm going, I'm working up through lighter markers until I'm back at that first one to go over the whole thing again and soften the transitions even more. I'm making his cute little snout lighter by starting with a lighter shade marker, but I'm keeping it looking harmonious with the rest of his face by using the lighter shades from his head as the shadow markers for his snout. Why is that so difficult for me to say? Oh, I'm going to have all of the markers that I've used listed below in the description box if you want to know the exact ones that I've used on any part of him. Well, I decided to give him a little patch that matches the colour of his snout too. Now, to keep these little fiddly bits still whilst I colour them, I'm just using a little bit of low-tack tape. Now, this is also going to help me keep track of those tiny bits that are ridiculously easily lost. I'm using really dark, cool greys to colour his nose and the stripes for his jumper, rather than going straight into black, so that I can have some shading going on. And I am leaning into a French vibe with this, albeit in a somewhat stereotypical nature. I'm keeping his t-shirt white, but I still want to add some really light shading to the outside, again giving that visual hint of it being somewhat rounded. Then I have the inner ears, which I'm doing pink, still adding a darker shade, but this time at the bottom where his ear meets his head, as that's where the most obvious shadow is going to fall. Now, I can layer all of these pieces to create my little Frenchie. Having some sort of tweezers is invaluable at this stage, and I always like to use reverse action ones because it makes it so much easier, in my opinion. So I'm using my glue press, which again is such an awesome tool when you've got little fiddly bits like this to glue. It was a bit of an investment, but you can keep refilling the bottle itself with whatever glue you prefer. So for me, it's completely worth it. And for those of us with any dexterity issues, this thing changed the game for me. It did take a little bit of getting used to, but along with the reverse action tweezers, it really does make a huge difference and makes these tasks so much easier for me. I'm bringing in those pops of red now, starting with this cute little bandana that just peeks out ever so slightly. It's such a small detail, but I really love how it adds that little extra something to the design. Now, I didn't manage to save the tiny little eyes. Seriously, I don't know where they disappeared to, but it's okay because I'm just going to do a little simple fix. I've grabbed some scrap cardstock and coloured a little section with a really dark grey marker and then cut it into tiny shapes to sit behind Frenchie's head. Crisis averted. Now for the finishing touch, his red glittery beret. And of course, I've got to tilt it at a jaunty little angle because, let's be honest, he is quite the stylish pooch. That little bit of sparkle just takes it up a notch, and I think it really pulls the whole look together. Let's set him aside and work on the rest of the card. I'm using one of the stamp sets that comes in the calendar. It's got hello in several different languages, so I've got the bonjour here. I haven't used the stamp before, so I do like to just stamp it off a couple of times to make sure that it's working well before stamping it onto that smallest little tag panel die cut. I'm absolutely loving this rectangular embossing folder. It creates these really fun squiggly lines, and I just think that it adds such a cool texture to the design. I've trimmed it down so that it fits nicely across my panel, but I do want to give it a little extra definition. To do that, I'm adding a thin border at the top and bottom, but rather than hunting for the perfect cardstock, I'm just using that dark grey marker to scribble directly onto some scrap cardstock. Super easy, and it means that I get the exact shade that I want. I can glue my embossed strip onto it and then trim down either end so that it lines up neatly. To make sure everything ties together, I'm bringing that same grey marker back in and running it around the edges of my A2 panel. This little trick helps frame everything and it gives it a much more cohesive look. Then I'm layering on a smaller panel right in the centre, leaving an equal border around all four sides. That contrast between the panels makes such a difference, and it really helps to draw the eye into the design. I'm adding that embossed strip across my card panel, keeping it too long so that I can trim the excess once it's in place. Now, I was sitting thinking I wish I had some red twine when I remembered the beautiful tag that Amanda had put on my advent calendar and decided that this twine was perfect. So I've trimmed it a bit and I'm threading it through the little tag with our sentiment on. To keep it in place, I like to add a drop of glue and just pinch the twine in place with those reverse action tweezers whilst it dries, which you are going to see me do shortly. I've layered up two of the slightly bigger panels with a pop of blue in the back, which I think works so well next to that pop of red. It's going to give the whole design a little bit more vibrancy and balance. I love how just a small detail like this can completely change the feel of a card. Now it's time to give my little Frenchie some dimension. I'm adding foam adhesive squares behind him so he stands out from the background, making him the real focal point. I always find that a bit of layering makes these die cuts feel even more special. But why just stop at one layer of dimension? I really love the added depth, so I'm doubling it up by using foam adhesive behind the smaller panels too. Before sticking that down, I'm taking a moment to adhere the sentiment tag, making sure that it's positioned just right. To keep the twine ends in place, I'm tacking them down with a couple of dots of glue, and this is going to make sure that they don't slip out because I don't want them to be seen. Now I can adhere the focal panel right over the top, making sure it all comes together perfectly. And for the finishing touch, I'm adding 3 red glittery hearts cut from a die that's part of the French Bulldog set. They add just the right amount of sparkle and tie in beautifully with that pop of red from the beret and bandana. And a little bit of shimmer never hurts anyone, right? I definitely had so much fun with this one. There's just something really satisfying about bringing a die cut character to life with a bit of colouring and shading. I love how adding just a few details can completely change the look and give it so much more personality. I hope this has inspired you to grab your markers and have a go at colouring your own layered die cut images. Whether you are lucky enough to get this advent calendar or you've got a favourite layered die set sitting in your stash, well, why not pull it out and create something fun? It's such a great way to add that extra special touch to your projects. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If you aren't already, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like this video and drop any comments or questions below. Have a lovely, happy, safe and wonderful week. Stay crafty. Bye.